Welcome to Flinders Park in Melbourne. Simon Reed alongside Fru McMillan to bring you the men's singles final. Michael Chang, the number 5 seed, the number 5 in the world in his 3rd Grand Slam final. Up against him, Boris Becker, winner of 5 Grand Slams, his 10th Grand Slam final. The number 4 seed, the number 4 in the world. A gorgeous day here in Melbourne. It's 30 degrees. No hint of rain. In fact, it's the best day we've had in the whole fortnight, and a fitting finale for.
Oh, I think there's no doubt about it. Two chaps who really deserve their position there. One who's got there rather easily, and one who's struggled.
Wayne McEwen of Australia, the man in charge here. And a real sense of anticipation. No Agassi, no Sampras this time. But two guys who've really earned their way through to this final. Chang blitzing everyone who's stood in his way. Becker, very different way through. 2-1 down against Rosetsky, 2 sets down against Johansson, and then really showing out and crushing opponents in true Becker style.
Yes, I think Becker's form in the latter stages of this tournament have been, well, quite blistering. And these are the two people who, rather fittingly, of course, contested the ATP World Championships last year. And in German eyes, of course, this man is their world champion. He may not have ended up the year as number 1, but in Germany, I think he was thought of as such. And I think really that his form changed at Wimbledon last year.
Let's talk tactics. Chang, the quintessential counterpuncher. We'd imagine that he'll stay at the baseline and just slug it out.
Yes, it'll be very interesting to see how Chang plays this match, because he obviously had a game plan against Agassi. Although I think it has to be said here and now that the wind was very, very trying, and probably just the sort of conditions actually that, of course, suited Chang's real determination. Agassi obviously wasn't up for the fight. Today is quite a different sort of day, nowhere near as much wind. And Chang may be a little disappointed at that. The great difference, of course, between this match and Frankfurt is that it's so very obviously outdoors. Becker, a bit like Sampras, one of the indoor kings of the world. And the elements play their part here outdoors. And, of course, that will be just a little bit more to Chang's liking.
Although the elements as such, as they are in an outdoor tournament, are not too bad for Becker. It's much stiller than it has been.
Yes, the stillness certainly will make it more of an indoor type of atmosphere.
Okay, then when we've done Chang, what about Boris? He served and volleyed brilliantly against Mark Woodford particularly. Do you think he'll do the same here?
I think Becker's initial drive here will be to make himself seem even Becker than bigger than ever against Chang. So I think his early attempts will be to serve big, to look big, to take the net, to be as close to Chang as he possibly can. A bit, in fact, as we saw in that photography session prior to the match.
Yes, just before you came over, there was a moment where they're lining up for the cameras, and Becker stood on tiptoe, and of course he's a formidable sight when he does. He's 6'3", 1m90, whereas Michael is down at 5'9", but I'm not quite sure he is that tall. I think he's around 5'7", 5'8", 1m75. Becker stood on tiptoe and brought laughter all round the court. Michael chose to ignore it.
Yes, people very often remark to Chang, I don't think he likes it very much, about his size and about the fact that the opponents tend to be bigger than he is. And he said, well, he's in some ways used to it because he's played against his older brother Carl for most of his life, and Carl is that much bigger, and one can see here the real difference in size between them. But Chang maintains that he's used to it, but then of course he would try and eradicate any negative thoughts from his mind if he possibly can.
Two totally dissimilar physiques and personalities, and yet their careers in many ways, although Becker has achieved a lot more than Chang, mirror each other. Both 3 or 4 years ago, people were saying, well, not 4 years ago, but certainly a couple of years ago, were saying are past their best. certainly they were about Boris, wondering whether he'd ever reach the peaks again. He started to do that. Same with Chang. Won the French Open in '89. A lot of people thought that was wonderful, but that's the last you'll see of Michael Chang at a Grand Slam final. Well, last year he was back at Roland Garros. Here he's back here. Yes,
I think they're two men, really, who've come back from the wilderness. And I think, in a way, it's a tribute to their real determination, to their willpower, because I think of all the men in the game, these are two probably with the best wills that there are. And I think that's why they've come back. I think it's easier for Chang to have come back, perhaps because he's younger than Becker. I think for Becker, it's been an immense will. And of course, Becker's the first to say that much of that credit should go to his wife, Barbara, and his family.
Yes, Becker, the grand old man today, 28 years old. Michael, 5 years younger. The final of the Ford Australian Open. Michael Chang against Boris Becker. It's Michael Chang to serve.
Becker won the spin of the coin, and he's elected to receive, obviously.
Oh. Bold tactics to drop shot Chang, particularly early on in the match.
Well, the best time to drop shot is when the opponent least expects it. And he certainly confounded most people, and I'm sure most of this crowd. Lovely crisp volley, though, from Becker. That's a key.
And Becker looks totally focused. An unforced error there from Chang, but for the American, I think the big man looks right on the case very early on. 2 break points. Well done.
Well, I was saying earlier how important the wills of these players are, and it seems to me that there's no sparring here at all. It's fighting from the first bell.
A double fault, but in many ways Boris earned that with the sheer charisma that he has on return. So that's the situation after nearly 25 minutes. And they're enjoying it nearly as much as he is.
Thank you. 15 love.
Another good decision. Oh.
That's love.
Chang hurling himself both right and left, but nothing happening.
Yes, there must be real concern there because he's snatching at things. Undoubtedly flustered, and who wouldn't be?
Just about his first error of judgment.
Yes, Chang got just enough top on this. It looked as if it were flying initially.
Game Becker.
Doesn't even stare that one down. Fourth ace. 5-1.
Becker leads 5-1.
So Chang serves to stay in this first set. No arguments from Becker, just got the side of the line.
And Chang, fortunately, now seems to have discovered some of the firepower on the serve. Tends to serve most of his aces down the middle of the court.
A bad double.
30-15.
His second.
Because he maintains that the longer racket gives him added power. It's an inch longer than the norm. As you can see, he tends to hold it up the grip a bit.
Oh, magical shot. Because Boris wasn't exactly glued to the net. He was a little way back.
No, he'd really gauged this well. He reckoned he knew he was playing a giant here, and pinpoint.
Game Chang. New balls.
Well, a much more impressive service game from Chang, who's getting into this, but can he reach the level at which Becker is at the moment? 5-2.
Looks pretty good stuff right here.
This ought to wrinkle someone's tennis fights.
So after just over half an hour, Becker 5-2, 2 breaks, serves for the set. Fifth ace. Again, Chang looks, but then looks away. Got the side of the line. Oh, Boris.
13-15.
He's still imposing himself massively on Chang.
A little self-indulgent.
Second double. Yes, good call. Chang would love to get a blow in before this sets out, even if he loses it.
14-15.
But he's running out of time. Here are 2 set points for Boris Becker. Well, even in Boris Becker's illustrious career, that must rank as one of the best sets he's played.
It's a nigh perfect set. It's power and will that is conquering a mighty will of its own.
So start again.
Yes, you're exactly right. Becker's just got to continue along his winning ways, but for Chang it is start again. Erase the memory.
He's not going to frighten Chang. Just tactics alone aren't going to do it.
No, he's assuming he's still going to get away with it, that Chang is just a little tentative, just a little ragged.
40 love.
So Chang obviously has to show him that he's not, and the last 2 shots will have done that. Becker now will be doubting about whether he can just come up in on a sliced backhand.
Been a number of late calls, but as long as they're right, it's not that important. And Chang, mercifully for him, gets a lead in this second set. There's Carl Chang on the right there, and his new wife. So, love 1, second set.
That's Chang just asking for his racket to be strung, by the sounds of things, 1 pound higher.
Yes. Ah. Feeling better about life.
Locked in.
Well, he wants his racket a bit more tensely strung, and it seems that the tension that there is in Chang is now just paying off. Becker persisting with the short one to the double-hander's backhand. It's a very good ploy against the double-hander.
Yes, get the feeling this is an important game right here. Chang seems to be lifting his spirits. And Becker may have to work here. Fantastic rally.
Well, it looked like a rally between East and West, didn't it? The determination of East and the power of the West.
That's all.
Brothers, they come in so useful. Because this is where Becker really has the edge and where the big servers tend to. The likes of Chang and Agassi and Courier, they've got to battle, got to win points from the back of the court. Longer rallies.
Game Becker.
So an important game for me that was, and as he's done so often, Becker comes out with the big serve at the right time. First serve percentage in the first set, Chang just below where he'd want to be at 48, Becker 56, and Becker doing so much more with those 56 as percentage of serves in.
Love 15.
Third double, and back to the tentative nature in which he began. Becker's ruthlessly destroying that second serve again.
Yes, the umpire's given the wrong score. Love 30 it is. Yes, Chang's reverted again to this cupped serve. It's the serve that worries me because there's no pace in it, and with Becker timing the ball, seeing it as big as a watermelon.
And it compounds his move to the net.
Love 14.
Yes. Once again, severe problems. 3 break points. And Becker rampant.
Yes, he's really got to up his percentage of first serves. And he knows it.
done. Yes, he spent too much of his time staring up at Becker in the first set. Doesn't want to go a breakdown early on in the second. And now a very big point.
Yes, that's rare, that from Becker. It still had the better of the rally.
Oh, Boris.
Juice.
Didn't set himself there.
Because these players still very much feel tension, as experienced as they are. Very nervous before their match, and stages during a match, the nerves still get to them.
Advantage Chang.
Chang fighting for his life here, as we knew he would. Well, 2 miss hits, but Becker gets the best of it.
Juice.
Yes, now one just wonders whether Becker's going to immediately come in, or whether he realizes that actually he can stroke a few and then come in on something perhaps just a little bit more sound. Well, he's missed so many first serves, one wonders whether he's going to have an immediate change of racket. He's looking for a tighter one.
Or Becker made him wait there, going back to last year where a lot of the players didn't like this, but Becker was disrupting their rhythm, and perhaps Chang says, I'll have a little bit of this myself.
Could be. I think at the moment though he's probably a little too self-centered. It's a good point though that you make. Players are very aware of Becker holding them up.
Chang does well, saves 3 break points, and for me, Fru, that was the first poor game that Becker's played in the whole match.
Yes, it was certainly Becker off his pedestal, because you could see the anxiety in Chang, and Becker, well, he seemed to be flowing like the Ryan at its best, didn't he? Chang obviously in discomfort, not only with his game, but certainly with his equipment. Peter Bellinger, the referee, who's not normally asked to fulfill these sort of functions.
So one racket disappears, one comes back. A lot of talk about rackets. Chang with this famous racket that's got an inch extra on it. And talk that there may soon be a curb on longer rackets. It's all very well for Chang at 5'9" or 5'8" if we reckon he is, but Todd Martin or even Isevich taking longer rackets, then we're into a worrying stage.
Yes, the regulation was 32 inches was the maximum, and now they're trying to reduce the maximum to 29 inches. And there was a thought that perhaps for club players and kids that they would allow longer rackets, but of course, as the International Tennis Federation points out, they want to try and keep them the same length for everybody, so that somebody can't play with a 32-inch racket and then come into the professional ranks and suddenly have to switch to a 29-inch racket. So they're all looking, the ATP and the ITF, for a 29-inch maximum.
Great that they can agree on something. No, it's all harmony now. Becker, 1-2.
Love 15.
No complaints from Chang. I thought he might have thought it was long to the baseline.
Yes, thinking of the rackets, it does seem a bit unfair that somebody who's 6'6", like Martin, as you say, can use the same size racket as somebody like Chang. There should be a ratio. Shorter people should be allowed to use something a little longer, perhaps.
Now then, definitely a shift in emphasis.
15-30.
Yes, with that love 40 game, that where Becker lost his chances and Chang came back so well, now very significant.
Yes, the real Michael Chang's out there now, and he's after his opponent.
Well, he's reached a stage that Kafelnikov never got to, break point on the Becker serve.
So after saving 3 break points, Chang has 2 of his own. Lucky. Could have gone anywhere.
13-14.
Yes, the one consolation for Chang was that, well, at least Becker was there. It's a lot worse if you've got an open court and you hit the net cord.
Juice.
And again, the big serve rescues him. 6th ace.
And hits it so flat. It's such a heavy serve. And I suppose the difference between heavy and an ordinary serve is that it doesn't come through faster, but it seems like a lead weight when it comes to you.
Advantage. to Chang.
Third double, third break point. It's a terrific second shot from Becker.
The feel that Becker's got on his racket today has been quite outstanding, and it's such a nice feeling to have, that you have total faith in the 5 fingers that grip the racket. Or is it 4 fingers and a thumb?
Yes, thought he played himself out of that, Becker, but an excellent saving volley.
Advantage Becker.
Yes, he's doing a lot of this deep and then short, and even on the volley, the steered volley, that's very typical of Becker, and then he is so often following it with the short. And of course that really jerks the opponent around.
Juice.
Wayne McEwen muttered something into his microphone, and Boris thought it was going to be an overall, but he did the right thing.
Yes, I often think of Becker's backhand volley where he uses Chang's pace. It's a bit like a jockey on a horse. He doesn't invent a lot of pace, but he lets the pace of the opponent work for him, as a jockey lets the horse.
Advantage Becker.
Chang having real problems here, picking where Becker's going to serve.
Game Becker.
Yes, the rallies themselves are a much more even contest now, but that serve has a law all of its own.
Got his old faithful racket with him, of course. No juicy contract for Becker. Been using the same racket for years.
Too good.
While when Becker's at his most confident and feels the racket head so perfectly, he plays a lot of these little drop volleys. He cups them and gets the head of the racket nicely around the ball.
Oh. Well, the spirit is there, but spirit alone is not good enough at the moment. Becker seems to be refining the form of the first set.
Yes, Chang's having to make a real effort to be superhuman, whereas Becker seems to be doing it quite naturally at the moment.
Yes, born to it.
15-30.
Fifth ace. Yes. Wonderful volley. And again, Chang is going to have to save break points. 2 of them here.
Terrific anticipation, because most of Chang's backhands have gone down the line, and Becker on that net like a red rash.
That's a 40.
Well, he had love 40 in the previous Chang service game and got just a little careless to begin with.
Juice.
Where Chang doesn't really have the Agassi-like power means that Becker can get back when he's out of position. Chang usually lets him back into the rally because he's not as powerful as Agassi on both backhand and forehand.
Advantage Chang.
Becker seems to be taking too much for granted just at the moment.
Game Chang.
One thing's for sure, he will not frighten Chang. Whatever the score gets,
Chang leads.
Chang will still hold his head up high and still be trying every single thing he knows.